journaling time.
Ooh, yeah! That
No.
theme song never gets old. It always puts
I
me in the
know.
mood.
It's a great pump up
It's kind of a bop. Pretty good. All right. I see we already have some of our party people in the house. Surrey Cat's here. She's ready. Time to journal party.
Oh, yeah, lots of people. Cool.
Deidre's in the
Hi,
house.
guys.
People are ready. I'm ready. I think. Letting go of control is not my strongest suit, but that's why we work on this stuff. Suri says, I've been away and was able to attend last week. So awesome. Yeah, Suri was like the MVP last week, picking up all the quotes that I couldn't remember and stuff. Love it. Trish is in the house. Finally made it to your first one. Welcome.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a good one. I promise. You're going to really like it. Norma's here. Oh, awesome. It seems like we might have a few people who are getting to their first one. Who's
nice.
Let us know who's new or who's having a first time with us this evening. Norma says, I miss being able to go to the lives Oh, Big Brother. Wednesday nights. Yep. Well, I get that. That's why we got replays. You got to tune into your reality fix. Alex knows about that. Girl Alex knows all about that.
I know all about that. Yes.
She's gotten me into it. She's got me into the Bachelor stuff. I watch that with her. We have to finish Bachelor in Paradise. It's not a good season. It's not a good season.
If only I could get you into Housewives, but I don't see that in my future.
It's tough. I absorb all of their anger, I feel like, and I just Awesome. We got Carmen here with a K. Beautiful journal party night to everyone. Love that. Okay, Jana's Jane. Okay, sorry, called you Jana. Jane's here. A newbie. Welcome. Glad you made it.
Jane.
Meredith's also new. Excellent.
Awesome. Hi, Meredith.
Wonderful. This is what happens when we send out our emails early and stuff. So, good deal. Terry says, it's a great way to journal, meet others, and just take time for ourselves. Yeah, it's nice to create time for yourself. I'm pretty good. I have my routine locked in the morning, but it's like, I don't know that I would actually show up and journal every Wednesday night if we didn't have it in the calendar. And sometimes I resist it. And then when we get here, I'm like amped and pumped, and I always have such a nice session. It's such a nice midweek thing to do. So I think you guys, the newbies, are in for a treat. Okay. Another newbie. There. Tone. I hope I'm saying that right. Tone. I don't know how to say the little, that kind of E. Tony, maybe? I don't. Stephanie says, hello to all the new folks. Been lurking. Ooh, a lurker. Well, I'm glad you commented. Tina's here. 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, baby. Love that. Love that. All right, we'll give everybody another minute or so before we kick this thing off. I'm
just going to draw my curtain because the sun is going to start casting shadows. Here we go. Okay. Now we are all good.
Mary's in the house. Good. It's not a party without Mary. All right. Kimberly's new. Lots of newbies. I love this. Any challenge takers in here? Anybody doing the 21-day challenge? Let me know about that. Actually, while we wait for some more folks to show up, let me plug it. If you guys have been struggling to get consistent with your journal, we have our new 21-day Fill Your Journal Challenge. You can access that by scanning that QR code, or I think it's available in our app currently. You'll probably see tons of ads with me promoting it because it's a really great way to get into this practice. I think one of the things that's difficult for a lot of people, most people actually have a journal that they haven't written in, or maybe they have written in and then they've just kind of bailed on it. And I've been kind of studying this phenomenon a little bit, and I think what it really just boils down to is just not having like the guidance and the structure, because if you spend enough time in your journal, and you let go of all like the baggage of what you think needs to happen inside of your journal, eventually these benefits start to show up in like an obvious way. And it's so obvious that I think that you will naturally start to read. That's really the goal of the journal. Writing regularly, we have, a new video each day for you to, get you started with that first 5 minutes. And then from there, hopefully once you got that momentum and your pen's moving, you start to find ways to make this your own practice. Like that's another thing I hear a lot. People are like, oh, like, I don't know how to journal. And it's like, there's no right way to journal. My practice looks very different from day to day. I have, a morning routine that I really like, but oftentimes when I reach for my journal, it's just, I love having that blank space just to get all these crazy thoughts out of my head and start to sort through them and everything like that. And, like I said, you do it long enough and the benefits are just so obvious. It's such an instrumental piece in my toolkit. So want that for everybody. We're on a mission to get 1 million people to start journaling with us. And so we've made it a pay what you want program. So you can get into that for as little as $1. So definitely check that out. And enough plugs. I think it's about time to introduce our program for this evening. So let me share on here real quick. Let's make Alex a little bigger. Let's make me a little bigger. All right, cool. So, folks, what you're seeing on your screen, hopefully right now, is the Journal Party Guided Journaling app. And we have that available on mobile, and you can also access it on desktop through your web browser by visiting app.journalparty.com. And it's a really simple but awesome little program we have here. I've kind of likened it to like the Netflix of guided journaling. And so inside we have over 100 programs with new programs being released every single week. And typically what we like to do on Journal Party Live is debut some of our newer programs. And so we have a program all about letting go of control for you this evening. So tonight we're going to be getting real with a program that I like to call Control Freak. So let's be honest. The need to control everything often comes from a place of trying to create order and safety in our lives. We plan, we organize, we push to get the perfect outcome because it feels like the only way to avoid chaos and disappointment. But what happens when that need for control becomes a heavy weight? It can start to lead to stress, anxiety, and the feeling that we're constantly fighting against life instead of flowing with it. So this program is a bit of an invitation. We like invitations here because it's a journal party, right? But it's an invitation to explore that feeling a little bit. So we're going to gently explore how we can find peace and even a new kind of freedom by releasing our grip on the things that we just simply can't control. And I think figuring that out is some really valuable wisdom. So this is going to be a space for you to be open and honest in your writing. I always like to encourage our journalers to be brave and be bold. And if you run into anything that's uncomfortable, earmark it, because there are a ton of qualified professionals. I know we got at least one therapist in our chat right now. I saw that pop up just a second ago. Yeah, we've got at least one therapist in here, but there's a ton of mental health professionals out there who are well equipped to help you deal with anything that is uncomfortable. And so, if it ever gets too uncomfortable, this is supposed to be fun and relaxing and light. We will do some deep work now and then, but if you find yourself struggling or treading water a little bit, earmark it and bring it to somebody who can help you out. So these prompts, they're designed to be pretty quick and easy. We've got 10 prompts for you this evening. 3 minutes per prompt is going to be allocated. And that's usually enough. And, if you got more in the tank, you can always go and visit the replay, or through the Journal Party app, you can open up this program. And as you'll see, there are player controls. So you can pause, you can skip around. And so, I find that sometimes when I get real deeper, I'm on like a good train of thought. Like I really want to go back to it. And so what I'll do is I'll open up that program the next day and get even more goodness out of it once I've like been primed through it a first time. So anyway, don't overthink this. That's the biggest thing here. There's no wrong way to do this. Once you see the prompt, just try to receive it and start writing. And if the perfect answer doesn't come to you, I often just like to start writing the prompt, and even the act of getting my pen moving in the first place is usually enough to generate some momentum to get my brain working all right, and then the answers are forthcoming. So the way that this will work is Alex and we're both Alex, and we're married, if you don't know. So she's girl Alex. I also respond to boy Alex, but Alex with an I, Alex with an E, whatever. We can usually tell who you're talking to. But anyway, we'll take turns reading the prompts, and we will journal along with you. And then at the very, very end, what we will do is all hang out, share our insights. You never have to share what you write, but often we emerge with really cool insights, or just, it's also just fun to hang out with everybody. Seeing everybody every week is one of the highlights of my week at this point. And so love to hear all the updates and your progress, things that you're working on. And of course, if there's stuff that you need support for, we're here to support you as best that we can. So is everybody ready to get rocking? Let me know in the chat if everybody's ready to go. Make sure you got your journal open to a fresh page. Always like to date it. Write down, on the top, like what the program is, so you can refer back to these things. And in just a second, I'm going to make sure that we didn't miss anything in the chat here, but we'll get started in just a minute. All right, awesome. We got Melissa's in the house. Sarah, missed the last 2 to 3 weeks. Well, glad you made it this time. Stephanie, so the 21-day challenge, I think I covered that a bit earlier, but yeah, it's a pay what you want challenge. So it's 21 days of guided journaling. So there's a new guided journaling video each day. And so once you sign up for that, you get an email each day. And so it's just a nice way to get yourself in the habit of writing every day. And we, explore lots of different topics. We explore lots of different techniques and things like that. And the idea is just to really get you journaling regularly enough that you actually experience the benefits and can integrate it into your regular routine a little bit more easily. Suri's doing the challenge. Yeah. Mary, where's it located in the app? You should see it under specialty programs. Mary, if you don't see it, send me a DM, because I may have, you're on like our OG lifetime deal or whatever. So I want to make sure that you're hooked up with that if you don't have it. So if you don't see it, just send me a DM and I'll make sure you get access to it. Trisha needs to get moving. Yeah, well, and also hop into our accountability group. That's also another way to, get a little bit of that accountability to get what you need done. All right, lots of helpful folks in this community. I love it. All right. Good evening. I took my journal to Hawaii and answered a prompt on the beach. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
I want to be there.
Yeah. Oh, man. Alex and I were journaling on the beach in Bora Bora, and that's like one of my core memories now. Love it. Okay, I told my therapist about Journal Party as well as Silk and Sonder. Yeah, Silk and Sonder are super cool. They have lots of really great stylized, printed stuff I've seen, and some digital stuff too. Really, really great stuff. And it's always cool to see, women-owned businesses doing really well, and she's killing it over there. So yeah, hopefully we can catch up. All right, Suri says it's time to journal. I'm seeing lots of readies in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to hop into this, and let's get this party started. Alex, you want to do the odds or the evens tonight?
I will do even, so you get us started.
Great. All right, get ready for your first prompt. Surrender. Think of a time when something didn't go according to your plan, but it turned out for the best. What happened? What did you learn from that experience?
Uncertainty. What is one area of your life where you are afraid to let go of control? What is your biggest fear about releasing your grip in this area?
Unexpected joy. Describe a small, unexpected event that brought you joy recently. How did you feel in that moment when you weren't in control of the outcome?
Acknowledge and release. What is a current situation that feels out of your control? Write about how you can practice acceptance in this moment.
Effort over outcome. Consider a project or a goal that you're working on. What would it look like to focus on your effort and process rather than obsessing over the final result?
Patience. Where in your life could you benefit from being more patient? What small step can you take today to embrace patience instead of pushing for perfection?
Flexibility. How does trying to control everything make you feel physically and emotionally? What would it feel like to release that tension and allow for more flexibility?
Shared trust. Who in your life can you lean on for support? Write about how you can delegate a small task to them and trust in their ability to handle it.
Present moment. What is one thing you can do right now to ground yourself in the present moment? This could be a deep breath, noticing the sounds around you, or even feeling your feet on the floor.
A new belief. Write a new, empowering belief you want to adopt about control and surrender. How can you remind yourself of this belief throughout the week?
All right. How'd everybody do? Let us know in the chat, in the comments, how you did. Alex, how'd you do? Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I was going to say, full transparency, I really struggled with this one today.
Really?
And I think it mostly has to do with my sleep deprivation. I've really been struggling for the past few weeks, and I think it's just taking a toll on me. So yeah, the juices were not flowing. I did, make a couple, realizations and whatnot. But yeah, this one was really a struggle for me. So yeah, what about you? I have to say, I do believe you struggle with control.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off,
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had some difficulty with it. I know you've been exhausted all day because you didn't get much sleep last night. And I mean, look, maybe that's one of those things, right? It's like, well, the only way to kind of control that, I mean, you could pound coffee and energy drinks, but that's not a good idea, right? And it's like, really, you're probably gonna feel better once you actually get that sleep, and that's like the one thing you can control. But you also, we had events, you had to show up for this thing today, right? And so, I think you're being a good sport about it, and you look great. So.
Oh, thanks, honey. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I came across a couple of things that were interesting, and I do think, I've done so much therapy over the years, and I feel like that has been really, really helpful with, releasing a lot of my control issues that I've had in the past. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you have to say and what other people
Yeah.
have to say, because I think I'm gonna probably, make some other realizations hearing, your take on everything. But yeah, how'd you do?
Sure. I actually really enjoyed this one. What was interesting for me is I felt like I would have like a realization with each prompt, and then it would like perfectly flow into the next one. It was like I'd have the realization like, oh, you just need to be way more patient about this thing. And then like the next prompt was patience, and I got to dig a little deeper in that. So actually, I found that the session flowed really nicely for me. One of the biggest discoveries for me, I don't know that I would call it a discovery, because there's some level of awareness of this, but I found it really interesting to explore like the physical sensations that happen when I am feeling the need to control, like the wanting to
Mhm.
control and out of control. And for me, it gets really hot. Like I feel compressed. I feel heavy. I feel like there's like a fire under me. Like how people will say like, "Oh, light a fire under him." Like that's the kind of thing. Like, oh, if I don't do something, I'm gonna burn, or I'm gonna be get hurt or be harmed in some way. And so I'll feel that feeling, and then even when it's something that I can't control, I will try to exert myself on that thing, knowing that I can't control. And what ends up happening is a little bit of collateral damage. And like, one of the biggest areas is like, just with someone so for, on the side, I do a lot of like advertising management. And it's, these platforms that we advertise on are really volatile, and they aren't in our control anymore. And, wanting to like have that control, especially when there's like money involved and stuff like that, it can lead me to, make changes that I shouldn't be making, or throw out the process that's actually, I, the process that needs to happen in order to just feel like I had some sort of impact, or even if that impact turns out to be negative. And so it was interesting to see that I will do that, because I'm yearning so much just to have some sort of effect on something. And so that was an interesting thing to pick out and say, okay, well, like I don't need to do that. And then the process, the process prompt was really useful, because digging into that, it's like, okay, well, I think for my particular challenge, I can acknowledge that there's going to be a little bit of discomfort in the process. There's going to be some pain in the process. And, that's actually something I'm okay with. I've dealt with a lot of adversity in my life. I've dealt with a lot of pain. And I think, call it trauma, or call it, experience, or whatever it is, I try to get out in front of that. Like I think part of like what I think is my earned wisdom is like, oh, I've seen these things. I know what to look out for. Like I'll do everything I can to make sure that I'm not, feeling that discomfort, that the things that I don't want to happen don't happen. And in that process, I'm just creating a really bad time for myself, and obsessing over the outcome, and whether that ends up being perceived to be good or bad, that's like a whole other conversation. But it was nice to acknowledge that it's okay to have a little bit of discomfort in the process, and maybe even lean into that a little bit, because if I can allow that to happen, then I can let go of some of, get a little bit detached from that outcome that I'm wanting to happen. And on the other side of that is like a little bit of relaxation, and on the other side of relaxation is a little bit of enjoyment. And it's like, okay, I'm suddenly seeing that it's possible for me to enjoy the process, even if it's a little uncomfortable at times. And that is so much more preferable than like just, flailing about and losing my way just because I'm insisting on having, some like asserting some sort of control over this. So it got really heady for me, if you can't tell. But
Yeah.
it was really good. I'm definitely a control freak, but I've also done a whole lot of work on this sort of thing. And I think the other piece that was coming up for me was just like, okay, there's going to be that discomfort. There's going to be that resistance. But if I can allow whatever is happening to unfold, I feel like so much of like the grief or the pain that comes along with it is just that resistance, just saying like, just insisting that it be a certain way, when it's like, okay, there's like everything is happening because of the things that happened before. It's like this massive, I often liken it to like dominoes. There's been like a, multi-billion year domino rally happening. And it's just when I, catch that insight that like, okay, like the audacity for me to try to insert myself in this process, it's like fighting the ocean or something like that. And instead, like, fighting the ocean is super fun when you're a little kid, but I think what's really fun is actually riding the wave, right? And so I think it helps me to kind of think of things like in metaphorically speaking, because look, this world can be infinitely complex, but sometimes it's also just insanely simple. And so I really enjoyed it. And I've got a nice new belief and affirmation for myself that came off the end of it, which was just that I have time and everything happens right on time. And I can't really argue with that. There's things that'll come up, that need my attention and everything, but the things that I'm trying to control and that I'm freaking out about, it's like, chill, dude, you have time and everything happens, as it should. I think that's been my experience. So super cool.
Good for you.
And we got quite a few comments. They caught me making hard eyes at you.
That's funny.
Trisha needed it. Awesome. Kimberly says, great prompts. 3 minutes is the perfect amount of time. Just wrote so much. Good. Yeah. We've been doing a little bit of research, like just trying to see like what the ideal amount of time is. Some of these prompts you find you have more in there, and that's what's cool about the app, is that you have those player controls to pause and everything. But I am actually considering reducing our format to about 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. That seems to be kind of the sweet spot, backed by a little bit of research. I'll have to check in with our our mental health advisory board on how valid that research is. But hey, we're growing and we're getting all the right people to consult about this sort of thing. So it's exciting. I think we're onto something here. Melissa says, I really struggled with this one too. You're not alone, Alex. I do not do well with releasing control at all. Yeah. So one of the things that's been helpful for me, first off, again, it's okay if like the revelation, the perfect insight doesn't show up when you sit down to journal. I think that oftentimes the act of just prompting yourself will get your brain working in the right direction, and the effects can happen subtly, right? But one of the things that's been helpful outside of journaling, and I've mentioned this maybe a few times on here, there's a technique that I learned a while back called the Sedona method, and I absolutely love it. It's extraordinarily simple, and it really just involves noticing what is coming up for you and allowing it to come up. And even in that process, you realize like how much you resist. And it's like, well, so you ask yourself, like, could I let this go? Just could you? And it's okay if the answer is no, but like asking yourself that question, like at least brings it into the realm of reality. And then if you the next question would be, would you? Like, are you even willing to let this go? And it's okay if you want to hold on to it, but then that's a little bit more empowering, and then you can let it go on your own time. But if you are willing to let it go, then the next question is just when. And it kind of invites you to let it go here and now. But I think in that process of asking those questions, and there's all sorts of other stuff, you can go deeper in the Sedona method if you like. I'm not a facilitator for them, so don't want to overdo it here. But I think that just that process of, they call it welcoming, welcoming and allowing these things to come up, they tend to leave. I think this stuff that we hold on to, there's another term for it, samskaras. That's another whole rabbit hole you can go down. But we collect these things as part of our experience, and we hold on to like this stuff, and instead of releasing it. But then as life tries to move through us, it has to move around this stuff. And so this practice involves welcoming it and allowing it to release. It's not always the most comfortable feeling to bring some of this stuff up, but once it does, at least in my experience, you feel a lot lighter, and it it's very liberating. It kind of frees you from needing things to be a certain way, which, the audacity of that, every time I try to, it helps me to even think of it logically, because it's like, all right, like, how am I going to insist on having my way in this scenario? So yeah, we can work on that in the accountability if you want, Melissa. Tricia says, I think I have some things to work on this week. We all do, for sure. I don't do well with releasing control when it comes to my kids growing up. Oh, that's an interesting one. It's going too fast. Yeah. Oh, well, Alex, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, Tricia, we are not yet parents, but I am very afraid that that's the route, I'm going to go down, is just the control. And one thing that did come up for me was my health anxiety and especially health anxiety, not just with myself, but with my loved ones, with my pets, with everyone else. So I do have this constant, need for control when it comes to, the well-being of my loved ones and whatnot. And I know with children, it just takes it to a whole different level, which, seems very overwhelming for me personally, and good for you. I understand it's a struggle, but I can only imagine with children walking around in the world, like what that must be like. So best of luck on your journey with that. But yeah, it's that would definitely be a challenge for me as well.
Yeah, well, and look, I mean, one of the cool things about journaling is you get to capture some of these memories. So I would encourage you to spend some time, exploring exactly that. Like, what are you trying to hold on to? Because it's probably precious to you. And if you can just document it, well, then you can allow life to be what it is and to move as it does. But then you've documented it, and like anytime you just need that little sweet shot of good loving and nostalgia, which, by the way, we're doing a nostalgia program coming up. Check on our Journal Party Live schedule for that. But yeah, I think memory capture is a huge one. And so whether it's your journal, whether it's the photos or whatever it is, at first, obviously explore what it is that's uncomfortable, because it's probably trying to tell you something. But I think what it like I said, it's probably you're just trying to hold on to something that's beautiful and precious, and you can honor that experience, and then in your own time let it go and move on. And I think I don't know, that's how I would approach it. But also, I'm not a dad, so I don't know, it's probably harder than that's great advice though, Alex.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely capture those moments in your journal, and you'll have them forever.
So you got Angela says, I had a realization about what I can and can't control. Yeah, I mean, whether or not you're religious, I think the Serenity Prayer is like one of the best pieces of wisdom, right? The wisdom, to be able to know the difference between what you can and can't control, so that you don't spin your wheels, you don't waste your time, and you can enjoy this wonderful and mysterious and magical life existence that it can be that way if you allow it and don't try to control it. Oftentimes I think one of the coolest things about releasing control is being surprised by how much better it could be than even what your expectations or anticipations were. Surreycat says, as I get older, I've noticed that I've learned more about when we cannot control things, i.e., we cannot control other people's actions, only our own reactions, behavior, words, thoughts. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I just read, maybe some of you guys journaled through it with me, the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins. And I feel like since reading that book, I've still got work to do on that, but it's nice to have that like in my recent mental cache of just, ways to think about things and philosophy and whatnot, because it's hard trying to, I spend so much energy trying to control people, and you can't. And so you're going to feel a certain way about it, and just, allowing people to be who they are is actually, one of the most, I think, well, obviously you don't want to see people, fall into folly. And I think it's good to look out for one another, so that's not what I'm saying about this. But I think that, allowing people to be who they are is actually, a wonderful way to love them. And so, I've been pulling on that thread myself lately. Norma says, for prompt 1, the time when something to go the way I planned was when I had my second bone marrow biopsy. Wow. I didn't realize that they did them without sedation. Oh my goodness.
Wow, I did not know that.
She said, I thought they did them with sedation. That sounds so intense. Okay, so there's a second part here.
Yeah.
So now I know to ask questions when booking my appointments. Tomorrow, I'm going for my 4th biopsy, and I know that it will be with sedation because I asked. Well, good for you for being an advocate for yourself and learning from your experience. That sounds terrifying and terrible. I'm so sorry. I mean, thanks for the share, but
yeah,
smokes, that is.
I'm sending all of our love to you, Norma, and best of luck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not quite a bone marrow thing, but I had a surprise when I waited a little too long to get my wisdom teeth pulled out, and I was always under the impression that they put you under. Everyone else who shared that experience with me, and this was like, maybe it was just this dentist or whatever it was, but like no sedation. Like I could hear the bones cracking in my skull. Like it was so terrifying and so traumatic. I'm like, I already don't like the dentist. Now I really don't like it. Oh, I mean, sorry, I'm getting down a very uncomfortable thing for myself, and probably for a lot of people with the dentist. Ooh, maybe we should do a guided journaling thing about releasing fears with that sort of thing, or medical fears. I don't know. That's one for the mental health advisory board, probably.
Yeah. But I can get behind that because that's
yeah. Okay, and you got people cheering you on as well. Way to advocate for yourself. Yeah, lots of good vibes to you for sure. Tina says, a lot of my letting go comes from when I'm just tired of trying to control. Yeah, eventually you get fed up with it, right? i.e. the mortgage company not posting my payments on time. Oh, since 2022, I'm still angry, but letting go and trusting the universe. Wow. I mean, it sounds like something like systemically wrong happened there.
Yeah.
But I feel your pain. I had an insurance debacle that lasted about 2 years with that sort of thing, where it just was in some, fell into the cracks of our bureaucracy and just, couldn't get insured for a little while. That was, that was tough. And it's like, what do you do? Like, I couldn't control it, freaking out. And it's like, freaking out wasn't helpful. There were things that I could do, and you exhaust those, but yeah, eventually when you run out, I think you just have to do your best. That's it's tough when life hits you with stuff like that, for sure. Trisha says, my oldest moved out with her boyfriend last year. Sometimes she mentions stressors in their relationship to me. Everything in me wants to jump in and fix it. Oh man.
I can only imagine, Trisha.
But out of respect for them, I need to let go and let them figure it out on their own. Yeah.
Trisha, they'll come to you if necessary, but I can only imagine. Yeah. I would want to jump in too.
Yeah. And that's tough. And, at the same time, I don't know the family dynamic, so I don't want to speak out of turn here. But I know that for there's a lot of times when I didn't want my parents to weigh in on stuff. But also now, like there's a lot of times where I really wish I had their wisdom available, especially now that my father's passed. It's like there's so many things I wish he would have intervened or shared with me. And I think that ultimately that's a judgment call, right? And you want to do. I like your approach of being respectful to give them a little space to figure things out, but also. One of the ways that I've been able to learn from, my role models and my superiors and stuff is, not so much when they're trying to intervene, so much as just, sharing their experience. Because, if you've crossed the bridge before them, you can make sure that bridge is intact and easier to walk over, I think. So here I am with the metaphors again, right? There's a poem I learned called The Bridge Builder, and I think, but you can share your experience, and from there they can decide what they want to pull from that. And it's not doesn't necessarily have to be you telling them how it has to be, but look, I think one of the coolest things that I've learned from this group is like, I was stoked on like the wisdom I was getting alone out of my journal, but I think it's really cool to get the collective wisdom. Like it just amplifies the whole thing. And so, obviously people, varying degrees of willingness to both give and to receive that sort of thing. But it sounds like you're handling it. Sandy says, Alex, you look amazingly fresh for being sleep deprived. I'm guessing that's girl Alex.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. Really appreciate that. I've been on the struggle bus for the past couple of weeks when it comes to sleep. So appreciate that. It is great makeup.
She did Pilates today.
I forced myself to nothing because I wanted to do nothing. And I made it here, and that's all that matters.
Well, your presence is always appreciated. Angela says, I'm facing having to give up lots of control with my kids' Girl Scout troop. They're at an age where they're supposed to plan and run the meetings. Going to have to learn to just sit back and watch. What you got to do is you got to find the one who's like really type A and just make them learn like Rob's Rules of Order. Can you imagine that Girl Scout's like, I move to lower the price of Samoas. I second that motion. I can't imagine that. It's probably just a lot of screaming. Hey, that's not fair. Is that fair? Am I allowed to say that as a boy? It's probably just a lot of screaming.
You're
like, just let it go.
Just move on.
Deidre says, I definitely want to go back through this one and dig deeper. I know at this wise age, I can only control me and set realistic expectations. This was a great topic. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, and expectations are like half the battle. I once had a thought. Let me see if I can articulate it again. I think like whatever the distance is between your expectations and reality, right? Like it's like that's like how, is that going to be a positive or a negative, right? I don't know. I used to think about that with clients and stuff because, in my earlier days of business, you're so hungry to get a client and like you want to promise them the world and you create these expectations and then like, oh, well, like whatever the experience is actually the experience. And so, I realized very quickly that, if I didn't like overdo it with the expectations, they'd be satisfied because they'd get what they expected, right? And so a little different thing than you're talking about, Deidre, but I appreciate the share. And yeah, I mean, I think I guess what I'm getting at here is I think that's a common thing, right? Just wanting to form, great expectations, and then of course reality sets in and we have to deal with it. So deal with that as you will. Tina says, yes, riding the wave is way more fun. Yes. Yeah. Or, like here's another water one. You don't swim upstream, right? You ride the river rapids. There you go. It's so much easier to navigate the obstacles. Trisha says, Angela, I get that. My son is a Weebelo?
Not familiar with what that is.
This year, so not there yet. Is that like a Boy Scout kind of thing?
I'm going to look it up.
Norma says, Trisha, it's so hard to let them learn the hard lessons. I know there are times when I want to step in when things are rough for my kids. Yeah, I mean, the instinct there is probably just overwhelming. Sarah said, this was tough. I definitely feel the need to be in control of more things than not. And it was hard to think of ways to let go or thoughts to manifest that go against my lifelong need to be in control. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's tough because you have you get an idea about how you want things to be. But on the other side of letting go of that control, I think is peace and freedom, right? I mean, obviously you got to control what you can and handle responsibilities and stuff. But I think most of the things that cause us grief in this arena are like self-inflicted and manufactured, and we can allow life to be good to us a lot of the time.
Thank you for that share, though, Sarah. That was appreciated.
Surrey Cat, I definitely understand the need for control, i.e. we are selling most of our belongings and traveling in our fifth wheel for a year before settling down in another state somewhere. It's hard not to look up all the just in case stuff of where we're looking to live, even though it's not time yet. I feel that. Alex and I are I don't know, Alex, I don't know if
came up for me.
Yeah, I was writing about that too. So Alex and I, we just got married back in the end of March, and got home from our honeymoon in April. We're totally ready to we were ready to move, start our new life together somewhere else. And when we got back, we immediately were presented with a mega project that we have to do on our house before we can put our house on the market. And this is just so outside of our control because there's been, we've been given all sorts of estimates, what the work's going to look like and, when it's going to happen, how long it's going to take. And, it just keeps getting pushed back. We're left out of the loop. We are so out of control. And this just has to happen, and we just have to surrender to it. And it's tough because, we got all this newlywed momentum. We want to plan where we want to live. We want to go on a road trip to go, see where we want to go, and we just can't. We can't do that until we know exactly, what's going to be happening here at our house. And so, it's been a tough process, but surrendering to it, at least on my end, Alex, has been really nice because there's a lot of stuff that I want to do for Journal Party that will be tough when we're on the road. And so it's okay, well, this is the time. This is the time to do those projects that that I can't do while we're doing our little road trip and stuff. So I mean, it's tempting to look, and it's not, and I don't think you're doing any harm by trying to plan accordingly. But I think the challenge for me has always just been not to lose myself along the way, and to make sure that you're enjoying the journey as much as the destination. As cliche as that sounds. Tina says, I could let it go, but my Virgo self knows that I might not be right, but I am not wrong. Angela says, having kids will force you to accept what you can and can't change. You'll have no choice.
Angela, too scary. That's what I've thought ahead. If we were to have children, I'm gonna have to relinquish all control, and that makes me uncomfortable, but that's part of it, so it is what it is.
See what happens. Sorry, Cat, let them. Just the phrase alone helps me so much. I think that's why it caught on. It's just it's so catchy and it's so useful. Angela says, highly recommend to the If Books Could Kill episode on the Let Them book. Oh, I'll have to check that out. That sounds like a podcast, right? If Books Could Kill. Yeah, let me know, what all your favorite books in that sort of department are too. I love to geek out on that stuff. I'm a reformed self-help junkie, but I think that it's been fun doing the guided journaling programs as companions for these books. So we did it for Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. We did it for the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And I need to stay on top of my reading. So if any of you guys have ones that you want to explore with some journal prompts, I'll read it and put some stuff together. I thought that was super fun. So thanks for the share. I'll definitely check out that podcast. Mary says, being okay with what you can't control. I try not to let the things I can't control bother me. Yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks. Great reminder. With the Serenity Prayer, I can ask for help from God, universe, source, from Gus. I never heard of that. That's cool. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to give your stuff to somebody else or something else. Something with something smarter, older, wiser. Norma Willis, thanks for the well wishes, everyone. Yeah, absolutely.
Thinking about you.
Angela Leese, my most type A kid moved. So no Rob's Rules of Order for the Girl Scouts, unfortunately. They're 6th and 7th graders. Lots of screaming. See?
There is, yeah. If I think back, there really was.
We be loyal. Yeah. Angela Leese. Is that what that means? Never knew.
The Weeblo thing, they are scouts of some kind.
Oh, okay. I'm connecting the dots now. 4th grade scouts. Mary says, I think the hardest part is to stay positive about the things you can't control. I am at the whims of a toddler. Yes. An adorable toddler, by the way. We are in the first week of potty training. I am not okay. Being positive is hard. I can only imagine. I've got some hilarious pictures from my little brother and I's potty training days. I do not know what that experience is like on the other side. Although I don't know. I mean, I'm always so reluctant to ever bring, to always answer with my experience, like with my dog when someone brings up like their kids or children stuff. But like,
sorry guys,
potty training a puppy was really hard too. Can't control that. Oh man, forgot how hard that was. The whole thing. And now he's like the chillest little dude. So I mean, look, there's something in that too, right? This too shall pass, and eventually you'll probably have a bunch of funny battle scars and war stories about it, and you can treasure those. So good luck, Mary. Yeah, good luck. Well, what's that thing they say to do in yoga when something's really difficult and you're in the pose? Just smile and breathe. Just try to smile and breathe. Like even though there's that discomfort, it's you got to do it, or that it's good for you, and eventually the discomfort subsides and you feel great, hopefully. Sarah says, yo, kids are scary. I have 2 girls. It's the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life, and one of them is hella mean. I love the honesty.
My nickname as a kid was Tude, short for attitude, and I can't even imagine. My sister has a teenager now, and she is going through it. And I gave my Tude crown to my niece because she, has clearly taken over. But yeah, I can only imagine, and I think back to who I was at certain ages, and I just think, oh my gosh, and I was so mean to my parents, and parents are superheroes as far as I'm concerned. So bless you. I can only imagine.
Angela says, if Books Could Kill is a podcast about the good and sometimes bad of self-help books. Ooh,
I like that. That's interesting.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. You're making me think of one of our friend podcasts here. One of the inaugural members of our mental health advisory board, Carrie Wida, is the host of the Very Bad Therapy podcast. And so, she's obviously a mental health professional, and that's what the hosts are. But they, there's not everything is ideal, right? There's whether it's self-help or even therapists, like, got to always do your due diligence and make sure that the stuff that you're putting in to your whole awareness and body, whatever, your whole experience. Check it out. Do your due diligence on that, because as they say, garbage in, garbage out. And, there's a lot of really great stuff out there. And, man, especially with like all the AI stuff coming out now, like it has never been easier to create stuff. And, some of it isn't created with any intention or double checking that it's true or anything like
and
that.
Everyone thinks they're an expert, and
yes.
They're not always. So
Yeah.
Please be careful out there in the wild west of social media.
Yes, definitely. Trisha says you definitely have to learn to choose your battles as a parent. Yeah, that seems to be a common thread here. Very snarky. John Acuff puts out some great books. Oh, I'll check that out. John Acuff. Love a good recommendation. Tosh Silver. It's not your money. Wait, it not your money, all about releasing control. That sounds like one I need to do. Silver, not your money. Okay, cool. Suri says, I'm glad I couldn't have kids. I know what I did to my parents. Well, that's that sound. I know you're being a little coy here, but it also sounds like a lot of wisdom in something that you can't control there. So I see it. Alex Tude, I don't believe it. She is the sweetest person now. I think
I've done so much hard work on myself.
was there like a point where you were like, you know what? I'm not gonna be like this.
I think it happened in my 20s when I left home. I made some big realizations. But I was quite the brat as a kid. And yeah, so I'm glad I worked through a lot of that, and I can be the pleasant, somewhat well-rounded human I am today.
I was pretty well behaved, but I could get bossy. I could get real
you?
bossy. Yeah.
Bossy?
Yeah, I like being the boss. What can I say?
Yeah.
Carmen with a K says, I'm trying to let go of no entertaining at our new home, but my husband loves to entertain. Last Saturday, we finally had our first guests after a year. Wow. Well, congrats. I love to entertain. Both Alex and I came from entertaining households. Both literally in Alex's sense. Alex's dad was in the entertainment industry, but both of our parents, sets of parents, love to host people at our house. And so I think that's kind of core to our thing. That's probably why we like getting on here. I miss it. I miss having get-togethers, and like, honestly, you guys are kind of filling a little bit of the void. It's really awesome to, get on here with the Journal Party family every week and just, hang out. And, I love how there's like different colors to the experience. When we get serious, we get silly, and we get deep. It's cool. I appreciate all you guys from the bottom of my heart, guys and gals, and however you identify. Suri Cat says Alex got it all out when she was younger. Thank goodness.
I did. Yeah.
There's a little bit that I'm good at pushing her buttons, so I can get it out. Sarah says Alex, the trouble child, is always.
It is so true. It is. My sister's just so well behaved, never got into any trouble, and I tell her the things I was up to as a kid, and she's just constantly like, "You were doing what?" Like you. It's true.
That's amazing. I was technically the second child, but my older brother's a half brother, and he was like 10 years older than me. So I kind of had both experiences, but I'm by far the tamest of the brothers, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Would you say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
My younger brother, who I would consider, well, he was my dad's second child. So yeah, absolutely the wild one. But he's tried to reform in his adult years, and you know what? Sometimes I want to be like, dude, go back. You were so much fun.
Right? You know,
But,
maturing and aging will fix you right up.
Why we never risked a second one. You know, I've been hearing about that a lot lately. The virtues of maybe only having one. That always, you know, I loved having brothers. So I mean, that you know, if Alex and I ever do have kids, like I don't know, like part of me would want to have like my kids have a similar experience, also just so I could like, you know, do some like reflective parenting, or I don't know how to articulate that correctly, but you know, based off of what I experienced is I guess what I was trying to say there. But people have been telling us lately that like maybe just have one, that way, you know, the lifestyle doesn't change and you can still, you know, travel and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's too much trying to have your cake and eat it too. I don't think that's too much trying to control the situation, probably, right? Like as if we know how it would turn out with one. Same here. Technically second child, but my brother is 8 years older. Yeah, Alex.
Sorry, I'm an 8-year difference as well. So maybe there's something about, you know, the second child with several years apart just turns up in the medicine.
Needing to journal.
Yeah.
It's the common thread. Sarah says, I was the second child and I act like I don't know where mine gets it from.
I know. It's
well, you know what? That the other thing I'm thinking about here is like, so yeah, obviously you get parented and you have your upbringing, but one of my favorite things about my my relationship with my parents is like at some point they start to like give you a peek behind the curtain, you know, and show you who they really are and what was really happening, and like that's one of my favorite things about getting older is like figuring out what really went down, because like as a kid you don't know, you have like your own ideas about it, like all sorts of different things, like yeah, to the reveal is the enlightening reveal is always fun. So yeah, well hopefully you can let her know some of your fun past, Sarah. So anyway,
so invincible parents, and then once you're like, oh wait a minute, you're just a flawed regular human being who's just trying their best.
All right, folks, as Kimberly's pointing out, it's getting kind of late.
Wow.
Heading to bed. So Kimberly, thanks for journaling with us this evening. Get some rest. Have a wonderful evening and sweet dreams. Folks, again, I cannot stress to you how much I appreciate you showing up for this every week. It's, you know, there was a while where I was doing this for nobody and it was still fun. I would still do it, but seeing, you know, familiar faces, seeing new faces, having my beautiful wife on here with me, like my life is it just keeps getting sweeter and sweeter, and I think that a lot of it is due to this work that we do together. And you know, it doesn't really always feel like work, and I think that's cool, because I know that it's having a really a positive effect on my life selfishly, and I hope that it is with you. If you are getting benefit out of this, please do drop us a line in the Facebook group, share your experience. It really helps us get more people into the group. So if you like what we do here, definitely you know, your feedback and your testimonials are you know, really important to us. We love reading them, and you know, whether or not you do that, I appreciate you and thank you so much for showing up. You make all of this worthwhile, and I can't wait to see what this community turns into as it grows, and it seems to just be getting more amazing. We've got a lot of really cool stuff in the pipeline for us. Let me take a quick gander at what we have on the docket here for Journal Party Live. So all right, so it looks like we've got Nostalgia Reflections next week. So we're going to be doing a little nostalgic journey, and then Releasing Attachments the week after that. So a lot of letting go, and a lot of also, you know, just appreciation. I think, it's nice to stop and smell the roses, and it's also nice to remember things. We talk a lot about, staying in the now, which I think is important, but it's also really great to reflect and then, bring that those reflections into the now. So I hope you will join us for those programs. I'm definitely looking forward to it. That's pretty much it. Again, if you we'd love to see you in the challenge. If this is something that you're into, 21 days of guided journaling, you'll probably see all the ads now that you've been in our little bubble here. And if you do, please let people know that what we do here is fun and awesome. Get more people into the party. I think as we grow, this is going to get even more fun and even more awesome. So really, again, appreciate all of you. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening, rest of your week. And also stay tuned because, not stay tuned tonight, but tune in on Saturday. We've been doing our mini sessions on Saturday. So that'll be just 5 prompts, 2 minutes per prompt. And what we're going through on Saturday will be kind of digging into whether or not you actually believe your affirmations and how important that actually is. So any of you folks doing that, the kind of manifesting law of attraction, or just even straight up affirmations and goal getting, I think you're really going to like that program, especially if you've ever written down a goal or affirmation and said, that's not true, I don't believe that, no way that's happening for me. So we'll get in touch with that together. And as Suri Cat says, don't forget to like the stream, subscribe so you get all the notifications, smash that like button. And I've already tried to sign off like 4 times, so I'm gonna finally do it here, folks. Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, rest of your week, and as always, what we say, Alex?
Party on.